Hello, so now we're going to be talking about the similarities and differences when it comes to both mitosis and meiosis. Now, when it comes down to it, I've found that there is a lot more differences than there are similarities. That's, of course, mainly due to the fact that they're two rather different processes. So while you'll find a couple of similarities with them, the more the focus of this video is definitely going to be on the differences, as that's going to be more of what I'm going to have to give more explanation towards, as the similarities are rather simple. So, starting with those similarities, of course, we notice that both of these processes are going to start with a diploid cell. Um, because the mitosis, it's just going to have double the amount of DNA because it's being replicated, and in meiosis, DNA is coming from two parent cells. Of course, both take place in the nucleus of a cell. That's pretty, just pretty normal. Well, we all know that. Both, of course, involve cell division. That's pretty standard as well. Both have similar named phases, which we can find being interphase, of course. That's just normal across both. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. And then finally, both involve the synthesization of DNA. So both processes like recreate DNA. Um, So that's the extent of the similarities that I can find when it comes down to it, which is kind of embarrassing, but that's about it. I mean, like I said earlier, they're in two entirely different processes with just a handful of similarities. So, of course, now let's move on to the differences. This is what we really want to talk about. So, our first difference that I found is that mitosis has one cell division, while meiosis has a two. So that's pretty standard if or if you've watched both the videos on mitosis and meiosis, or if you should have a general knowledge of both processes, you'd know that in mitosis, the parent cell is split into two daughter cells, and then in meiosis, the parent cell is split into two diploids, which is then split into four haploids. So in total, there is one cell division in mitosis, two cell divisions in meiosis. Next, in mitosis, the parent cell will divide into two daughter cells with the exact same amount of genetic material as the parent cell, while in meiosis, the parent cell will divide into four haploid gametes that have half the genetic information as the parent cell. So, as I stated in my meiosis video, this is what makes meiosis so important, as it splits the amount of genetic information in the two daughter cells of it in half, in order to make sure that the actual gametes or those daughter cells at the end have the correct amount of chromosomes rather than having double, which would be detrimental to growth. Um, Unlike mitosis, which is just general asexual reproduction, just normal cell division. Um, Next, in mitosis, each of the daughter cell is an exact copy, like to the letter, produced with 100% accuracy, an exact copy of the parent cell. While in meiosis, each gamete is it's a unique combination of genes. Now, this is due to the crossing over that happens during the process of meiosis, when the sister chromatids are basically crossed over each other, creating the tetrads. I'll actually give an example of that again because it never hurts. Always is good to have a bit of visual. So, say we have our two pairs of sister chromatids, and in our meiosis prophase 1, they're basically going to connect or basically bind together, cross over. So, watch what happens as we have our first pair and second pair. So, watch the inside here. Boom, they crossed over. So now we have these as a pair, which then get split and broken off as is, which basically they take their different parts with them. They don't stay the same. They don't break off like this would. They would break off with different parts. And that allows for that crossing over, along with the process of anaphase 1 and 2, where it pulls the different, where it pulls them apart and to create the daughter cells. In anaphase 1, where it's splitting the tetrad into the pairs, it's basically shuffling them around, and the same thing happens when those pairs are split down in in anaphase 2. So the next difference, the function of mitosis mainly is for growth, for growth of the body mainly, and creating new cells or like repair by doing that exact same thing. compared to meiosis, which is specifically for sexual reproduction, which creates creating gametes from genetic material of two parents. So meiosis is very, very like singularly focused on sexual reproduction. It has one purpose. That's what it does specifically. Compared to mitosis, which is a much more generalized function, you'll find it happening a lot more throughout the body. Now, certain things don't grow through mitosis, like bone marrow or like bones and blood. Those don't do cell division like that. As far as I'm concerned, um, usually like, I know white blood cells. Those have those process through mitosis and those practice asexual reproduction. But compared to meiosis, mitosis is a much more broad function. So you'll find it when it comes to you just growing, becoming a bigger person. That requires mitosis in order to create new cells. And if you get injured, the process of mitosis is needed in order to repair that injury. Now, if you heard what I mentioned earlier, I might have spoiled this next one a little. But mitosis is actually it's an asexual reproduction process compared to meiosis, which is mainly sexual reproduction. This is due to the fact that in mitosis, it's basically just one parent cell splitting into two exact copies of itself, two daughter cells. There's no change in them, there's no genetic crossing. It's just two exact copies, and then those cells grow and then make copies, and those cells grow and make copies, and over and over and over again. So there's just asexual reproduction, one individual just making more clones of itself effectively, compared to meiosis, which is genetic information from two different parents, which then cause change to be had in that in those gametes or daughter cells, which is what causes it to be sexual reproduction. Um, so that's the majority of the ones that I found. So as you can see, just looking at what we have, there are definitely a lot more differences after the ones I brought up, and that's pretty much the majority of this video. Um, and while there are, this is just a couple of the differences. There's definitely more of them, that's for sure. I'm not going to do each and every part of each, different phase. That would probably put this video at a good length of 20 minutes, where I would have to basically discuss the differences in each cell. Oh, another one I just thought of. Two sets of cell division. Yeah, never mind. We already brought that one up. Never mind. So that's pretty much it as far as I'm concerned. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.